Hello everyone. In last video we worked with editing our task, and in this video we will try to delete this task. We have already set up our delete. We are creating a form, and this form will submit to the route which we will have to create, and method will be post. It's okay. Since we have this form element, we need to include CSRF field, and since this is a delete method, we will have to mention this method field as delete. And we have this button here, and once clicked it will delete it, so it is this button. I think we are already set. Now let's just create this route. Okay, and before I forget, this delete route will take another parameter of id, because we need to know which to do we have to edit, and to mention that we have to pass in an id. Let's get to our route, and we will create another route, and it is delete route. Okay, let's go to our controller and create our delete method. It will get an id. We need to find that actual to do. Now let's just delete it. Let's give user a little message. Okay guys, that's it. Let's delete this one. Okay, now it's deleted. We get our little message. Let's test our app. I think it would be nice to see that if there are no to-dos. Let's give a message to a user. To do that, let's go to our home view. Let's check if there is any to do. Okay, let's check. Okay, very nice. If there is actually any to do, we will not get this message. Okay, very good. Now let's log out and try to go to home route. Okay, it's protected. Very good. Let's see if we can go to this route. Okay, it's to do, and in case of id, let's pass in something new. Okay, I think it's 7. Whoops, this doesn't look good. Let's check some security flaws that's present in our application. You can see that I am logged in, but there might be some security issues here. So let me show you what I am talking about. Let me log out. Okay, now if I try to go to home route, it will redirect me to log in, because our home route is actually going to home controller, and it is protected. Let's see how it is protected. In our home controller, if you go up, there is a construct method, and it is preventing any unauthorized users. This home route is protected, and I think it's working fairly well. Do you think that this route is protected? Let's test it. Ideally, what we are trying to achieve is that each task belongs to a particular user, and that user needs to have the access, and any other user will not ideally be able to change it. But let's see if that is actually happening. So this is our URL structure for edit. You cannot test on this route because it is a post method, and unless you are submitting data by form, this route will throw you method not allowed error. Let me show you this one. Okay, let's go to this route and see what happens. Okay, see, it is showing us method not allowed exception because this route only takes in post method, and whenever you type URL here, it is a get method and not a post method. Okay, now let's try this one. If I try to go to this route, see, in case of ID, it will be the ID of that to do. So if you go to your database and check the ID, I have only one data with ID 7. Okay, so in case of ID, let's give it 7. Okay, and see if it's actually done. Okay, this is not good because I am not logged in. See, this is important. I am not logged in and I should not be able to change this. Okay, so be careful and be very cautious about this thing, because if you don't protect your your route, your application might be vulnerable. Okay, so another thing to remember is that this is 7, and for a smarter guy it won't be hard to guess that this 7 might be 8 or 9 or 10 or anything, you know. You can just guess it and see, and the attacker might actually be able to edit everything in your site by writing a very simple script. Okay, it's not that complicated, so you have to test your application for vulnerabilities. I think you are getting my point here. This actually happened because I have not protected this route to logged in user, and not only logged in user, this route should only be available to user who actually created this actual task. Okay, that's another level of thinking you have to do. Now, to protect this route, it's actually very easy. If you go to your to-dos controller and go to your store method, and let's imagine that only logged in users should be able to store new to-dos. Okay, and only logged in users should be able to edit your to-dos, and only logged in users should be able to update your to-dos, and similarly only logged in users should be able to delete your to-dos. So all these methods should be protected under login, and if you go to your home controller, you can see that it is done by this constructor. So I will just copy this and come here and protect this route with auth middleware. We haven't dealt with middleware that much, but you can imagine middleware as a way of protecting your application. It is kind of a protection technique. Okay, now that I have added this little method, Let's see if I am actually able to edit this. Let's refresh, and now I'm kicked out to the login page without actually logging in. I will not be able to create new to-dos. Okay, now let's just create a new user. For now we have only one user, I think it's John Doe. Let's create another user. Okay, now that we are logged in, we are now faced with another issue. The issue here is that Jane Doe's account is just created and it's already showing this little data from another account. So another little problem in our application. Okay, to solve this, we need to make sure that all to-dos that we pull here belongs to the logged in user only. Okay, so to do that, you can either set up a relationship or you can write query. For now I will just set up a relationship. To set up a relationship, open your to-dos and your user model. Okay, to-dos and user model. And to set up a relationship, let's imagine for a while one particular user can have many to-dos. Okay, but the reverse of that, let's say one to-do belongs to only one user. Okay, let's set up a relationship. To do that, we will create a function, public function. Since we are in user model, one user can have many to-dos, so I will write to-dos. Okay, this will return this. Since one user has many to-dos, yeah, it has many relationship, has many, and it's app to do. Okay, let me try to explain this one more time. If you imagine one single user, let's say you are a user of this little application and you might create more than one to-dos. Okay, it's possible. So one user has many to-dos, and this is exactly what it is saying. Okay, try to imagine one user, and can he or she have one or more to-dos? And it's yes. And if that answer is yes, it has many relationship. The reverse of this relationship is written on to-dos model, and here what you can do is create a public function. It's user, because one to-do belongs to only one user, and it belongs to, and this to-do, this single to-do will belong to any user, any one user, let's say. Okay, now we have set up our relationship, and of course we are not done with it yet. Okay guys, we have just set up a relationship, and if you look at it carefully, there is absolutely nothing happening. Now to actually display to-dos that belong to this user only, let's go to our home controller, and in home controller we are returning this view. Okay, this is the view which we are returning from home controller, and we need to first find the user. Okay, the logged in user. So let's say $user is user find, and find which user? The logged in user. Okay, so this auth id will give you the id of logged in user. And in to do, what you can do is instead of this, let's use this object. We need this user, we need this users to do, and we need the latest first. Okay, this will do it. Now this thing might be confusing for you. Now let me explain it one more time. What we are doing is we are finding user, or actually let's say we are getting an user object, and that user object is created by using ID of logged in user. We are finding the logged in user in our database, and we are getting this object. And in this user object, okay, in this user object, what we have is this to do relationship, see, which we have defined here. We are calling this method. Okay, in user model we are calling this little method, and it is returning a relationship, and it will query into this to do model. So we are finding the logged in user, we are then getting the to-dos of that logged in user only. We are getting the latest to-dos first, so it is descending order, and we are getting it, and we are returning the view. Okay, now before I test this out, I have used few classes which I need to include. Okay, I think that is it. Let's try it. Okay, before this particular user was able to see to do of another user. Now let's replace this. Okay, now it's working. It's only displaying to do's of this particular user, and in this case it's nothing. Let's add the new to do to just test it out. Let's create this. We have created this, and it is being displayed here. Let's log out. Let's log in with another account. Okay, Zone 2 is not able to see the to-dos created by Jane, and Jane is not able to see to-dos created by John. Okay, this is the way to protect, and this is the way we were actually trying to create the application. Okay guys, I think this will be it, but again I want to leave you with a challenge, a little bit of security issue that still remains valid. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to your to-dos table, and you can say that I am now logged in as Zone Doe. Okay, Zone Doe has user ID 1 and Jane Doe has user ID 2 and has your to-dos with ID 8. Now I am logged in as John. If you think about it, John should not be able to edit that particular to-do, isn't it? Because it was created by Jane, and it's only Jane who should be able to actually edit it. Let's see if it can be done. To do with an ID of 8, and I want to edit it. Okay, again we are logged in as John, and he has to do with ID of 7, but he is trying to edit to-dos created by Jane 8. Let's edit it. This is created by Jane Doe and edited by John Doe. Let's edit. Okay, it looks like we were actually able to edit it. We are getting this message, and remember, John should not be able to edit this. this is little issue that I was trying to point out. Okay, let's see if it is actually updated. Let's reload the table, and bam, it's updated. And this should not happen. Okay, in our application this should not happen. So for little hackers, they might be able to sense on this vulnerability and change something that is not actually authorized to change. Okay, they might create an account and try to edit it and actually gain and actually destroy your little application. So make sure that any editing that is done is actually authorized. I think this is the end, and I would like to challenge you guys to actually figure out a way to stop this little issue here in this app, and I think it will be a good challenge for you. Now what you might do is, whenever you edit your to-dos in this controller, in not store, because the creation process we are already using the ID, but in actually update process, to do that I think I'm gonna do it. Okay, to do that, after finding that to do, let's check if this user is actually authorized to edit it. If the to-dos that we are finding has a user ID, okay, if you go to our table, this to-do has user ID. Okay, now if this user ID is not equal to the user ID of logged in user, he should not be able to edit it. Okay, only user with user ID 1. So in our case, this to do should be edited by John Doe only and not Jane, and vice versa. So to check it, if our to do's user ID is not equal to our authenticated user's ID, then what we want to do is we want to redirect. Let's create another little warning message here. Okay, in this case we want to return back to home with warning message saying that let's just say unauthorized. We are checking to see if the to-do's ID here is equal to, to-do IDs in our table is equal to the logged in user ID. If it is equal, then it will proceed and do the updates and whatever it is. But if it is not equal, then we will return. Okay, we will return and then give it a warning. Very good. Now let's try it one more time. We are logged in as John Doe, so Jane has user ID of 2 and to do ID of 8. We need this one, so let's go to to do and ID of 8 and edit. Okay, till now the user will be able to see this. You can, again, the thing is that you can check if the user is actually able to edit and just throw them back without giving any message, but I am handling it this way. You can obviously try to do another thing. Of course there are many ways to handle this. Let's type edited. Let's try to save it. Okay, now this time I won't be able to edit it. It will throw back and give an unauthorized message. And if you actually go to your database and check your table, it's actually not being edited. Okay, I think that's it for this series. If you have any question, do post it in comment section and I will try to reply to your question as soon as possible. Okay, now bye bye and have a nice time, and I will see you in next Laravel video series. Bye bye.